Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast, a space for nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. What would it be like if you gave your body a leadership role in your business and chose greater happiness every day? These are the conditions that create a healthy biome and a thriving business. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. We are going to keep going this week with this little series that I've been doing on how to change anything about your body that you would like to change and really create with your body. Ultimately, to me, it's like when we can really start to create with our bodies, oh my goodness, it's like a whole new world, a whole new universe that I didn't really know existed before I found the tools of access consciousness. And I am so grateful because my body has become such a powerful co-creator and ally and contribution to everything that I do and my business. And, we talk about the tagline of this podcast is nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. And it's one of those things that, a lot of people are like, what do you do? What exactly is this thing that you talk about with bodies and business? Because it's not something that even it's not something that's understood at all for most people, that the wisdom of our bodies, the consciousness of our bodies, the intelligence of our bodies can give us information, can give us awareness, can give us ideas and inspiration and direction with everything that we're creating, and actually allow our business to be greater. A simple way to put that would be, intuition, gut feeling, things like that. And this takes that conversation and goes even further into a creative world that really includes your body very, very dynamically. Now, that said, we can't actually include our bodies dynamically in creation if we are judging them. And this is the third part of this series. The first part, we talked about the tissue. So the actual, the physicality of our bodies, our tissue, and how, our tissue can be hard, it can be solid, it can be very, rigid and adhesed. Our fascia, our muscles, all of those things can be very, very hardened. And especially with our fascia, when that's the case, it holds the limitations of our structure in place, but it also holds the limitations of our judgment in place. So in the first episode of this little mini series, I talked about how to lubricate your tissue and actually get it into a more kind of viscous gel-like state. And last week, the second part, we talked about strengthening the body, the bowspring movement practice, and really changing the shape of our posture, of our fascia, the arrangement of our bones, by creating deep intrinsic strength that also benefits from that lubricated tissue, creating a reality with lubricated tissue so that the tissue can move into a new reality much easier. And there's a whole somatic aspect of having that kind of strength, core strength, the strength of our back body that just allows us to show up for ourselves in our lives and be very dynamic with how we be in the world and how we present ourselves to the world. So many amazing things. You can go back and listen if you want to hear more about all of that. Now today, this piece today that I want to bring in is, I would say all three of these conversations are really important. For me, it's like they've all contributed massively to me having such a different reality with my body. And I really feel like I'm creating something brand new with my body over the past year. And I'm 53. I feel like I'm actually becoming younger. Like my body and my tissue is actually regenerating and becoming younger. And I am so fascinated by that. I think it's the coolest thing that we can create that. But it does require the willingness to be really different with our bodies. It requires prioritizing self-care. I did a video about that on my YouTube channel. You can find that, a whole conversation about self-care and, how we have to be willing to be different to take really radical care of ourselves and our bodies. It's not a popular choice, to really care for ourselves and our bodies. And part of that is ending the judgment war with our bodies. Now, when you think of judgment with your body, probably the first thing that most people think of is body shape and size, right? Fat, out of proportion, whatever it may be, like something about the state, the look of your body, the shape of your body, the size of your body, maybe too big, maybe too small, maybe, doesn't like quite work the way you want it to. But that's, I think, where a lot of people go when they start to think about judgment of their bodies. And that is a huge part of how people judge their bodies. There's also a lot of more kind of like insidious, subtle judgments of our bodies that we don't think of as judgments of our bodies. And those are things like the judgment of how our bodies function. Like for me to say, well, I'm getting younger at age 53, my body's getting younger. There's a lot of judgment in place that can't occur. That's not actually possible. So that's a judgment. That's not possible. That's actually a judgment. That's a conclusion. It's something that stops the movement of possibilities. It's a determination of how bodies behave, how they function, how my body functions. And it doesn't allow for any future or further possibilities, basically. So when we judge our bodies, we are deciding something about them, we are making wrong something about them, and we are, as a result, we're locking impossibility into place. We're keeping possibility from being a reality with our bodies. And we're creating an enormous amount of separation between us and our bodies. When you have judgment of your body and you have separation from your body, you actually cannot have a connection, a relationship, a communion with your body. Your lines of communication are impeded dynamically by your judgments. One of the things we say in Access Consciousness is that anything you judge, you cannot receive from. If you judge somebody, you cannot receive from them. If you judge yourself, you can't receive from you. If you judge your body, you can't receive from it. So if you have judgments of your body, it's broken, it's messed up, it's sick, it's not functioning well, it's too fat, it's too skinny, it's not strong enough, it doesn't cooperate with me, it's so high maintenance. All of these things, lovely, lovely things that we tell ourselves about our bodies and that we tell our bodies about themselves. All of those things create walls of separation between you and your body that stop the ability for you to have communion with it and to work with it, to receive from it. One of the things that is a real distinct way that we talk about and explore and play with bodies in Access Consciousness is by acknowledging that bodies have their own consciousness. So your body is an organism of consciousness. It has a consciousness of its own. And our being is a different thing. It's not separate, but it's not the same. We are an infinite being, and we have a body that is a particular organism of consciousness at this moment in this time, and the being and the body are playing together. The body is in your being is not in your body. Your being is way, way bigger than your body. We choose our bodies, we play with our bodies. We're like, yes, this is the body I'm going to have, and then we actually choose that to help to facilitate us in accomplishing what we would like to accomplish as a being. And so the acknowledgement of the unique consciousness of your body, it's a very different way of looking at bodies. And I love that about Access Consciousness, because it also allows us to address directly the consciousness of the body. the body, and there's a lot of different ways that this is done as well. It's just not spoken about as directly with other modalities as it is with access. But like when I was a somatic psychotherapist, we did talk a lot about, like, we explored the consciousness of the body quite a lot. And that's one of the things that I did with my clients, was actually help, like, facilitate them to get in touch with their bodies so that they could listen to the voice of their bodies. They could listen to the wisdom of their bodies. They could listen to the consciousness of their bodies, which would actually give them information and awareness about what was required to heal. The body keeps a lot of, like, it stores a lot of the stuff that occurs in our lifetime. And so it's held in the tissue, it's held in the energetics, and even sometimes things that are, not even from this lifetime, that get kind of held and stored in the energy and the tissue of the body and in our fascia dynamically. And when we go to the body and we start to listen and tap in, the body can actually, it has the room, it has the space, and the lack of judgment to begin to start to communicate and show us what it knows and what it has available, because our bodies know so much about how to heal. And I was so trained, and I always say I was schooled by the bodies, still am, as a trauma therapist, because the bodies, when we would get very, very present and quiet all the noise, let all the noise go by the wayside, get very present and help somebody stay really present with a traumatic memory, which can be challenging. And then just distill everything down to what was going on in the body, their body and their nervous system would just unwind and the trauma would be gone. And it was amazing. And I still do that sometimes with people when it's warranted. But that was the beginning of my training as a somatic therapist. And it was such an exquisite gift to receive, just bodies unwinding themselves through through the nervous system and through the somatic aspects of things, and just the presence that we could be with a body, and that I would facilitate my clients to do. So, but you can't get present and be like really receive from your body if you are in dynamic judgment of it. It precludes you from being able to receive from it, from being present with it. Your judgment is a big brick wall that you put up that's like basically kind of a fuck you to your body, that, you're not, like, there's not going to be any working together. Have you ever tried to work? You probably, most of us have had experience having work colleagues, that it's very hard to work with them because there's some tension, there's angst, there's tension, there's judgment, fighting, whatever, maybe vying for something, proving. When that's going on in a work relationship, it strains the relationship and it really has an impact on the whole project and, what can be created. Well, think about that with your body. If you're working with your body to create your life and living, the creation of living, which to me is like this beautiful possibility to live from pleasure and hedonism and relaxation and intensity and receiving. That's the possibility. But if we're trying to work with our bodies, but we are judging them, it's just like that colleague, that you're judging, that's judging you. And there's this underlying thing going on there that's just like not going to help things move forward. And so we've got to get out of judgment of our bodies. Now, that could sound like a very tall order. If you have a lot of judgment of your body, it could be subtle. It could be, oh yeah, I judge the shit out of my body as being fat or incapable or wrong or, sick or whatever. And it could, like I said, be a lot of subtle judgments of like how it functions and what it is and what it needs and, all of these things. Anytime we're not in question, we're basically in judgment. So if you're curious with your body, there's a lot that can be revealed, but you got to get out of judgment in order to have that space. So how do we do that? How do we get out of judgment of our bodies? Well, that's the cool thing here, is that it's actually so much easier than we realize. There's a lot of tools. I'm not going to give you all of them because there's just so many tools. But in Access Consciousness, there's some main tools that we have for getting out of judgment. And that's one of the core kind of aspects of Access Consciousness. Is it's about getting out of judgment in our lives in every way, so that we can receive more, so that we can be more. We become happier, healthier, more wealthy, more alive, more fulfilled in our relationships when we get out of judgment. It's one of those investments that pays off wildly when we choose it. But you have to be willing to be really different, because most people function from judgment. So one of the tools is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. And that is a verbal processing tool that we use that is literally like a delete button, that when you hit the button, it's kind of like you move all the files in your computer to the trash, and then you empty the trash and it is gone. And when I always share this in my introductory classes. When I first heard the clearing statement, I was like, I'm never going to use that. That is so weird. I was taking a bars class, an Access Consciousness bars class, which is a hands-on modality, hands, points on the head that does so much magic. And I loved the bars, and I wanted to take a bars class. And the facilitator brought this, thing of, apparently we have a cement mixer outside, so pardon the background noise. They did not let me know they were coming right now. So what is up with that? That's funny. So in the bars class, the facilitator brought the clearing statement, which is right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, POD, shorts, boys, POVADs, bases, a new addition to the clearing statement, and beyonds. And she brought this clearing statement, and I was like, okay, I love the bars, but I am never going to say that. That is just so weird, And lo and behold, here 14 years later, I use it all the time because I saw what it created for me. And it's weird and it's wacky and it's very energetic, and it stands for all kinds of things that if you take a bars class, you can learn what that is. But it was this incredible way of just, tapping into a different world, a different space that is literally this magical button that just deletes so many things. So one example of how we might use it is all the judgments that you have of your body that keep it stuck as it is. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that? And then you would say yes if you were willing to. And then I would run the clearing statement, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, POD, shorts, boys, POVADs, bases, and beyonds. And then it just creates this energetic change. And I can perceive that already here. Even, you listening in the future, I can still perceive the change. And that's really cool. So that's one of the tools. And the verbal clearings in Access are very dynamic, such a huge part of the work. And they create enormously. And they really open up spaces for us to have a new space of choice, basically, new energies that we can be, new choices that we can make, new realities that we can explore. And with our bodies, when we undo those judgments, our bodies can actually start to function in a different way, and we can start to receive from them in a different way. So the clearings, that's one tool. The Access body processes, that's another one. So the body processes are hands-on energetic processes. The Access bars is one of them that works on the head. But the hands-on energetic processes are these incredible energies that we run on the body. You can take in a body process class, which is just like a one-time, like a 2.5-hour class, 3-hour class, where you give and receive, and you learn one body process. There's hundreds of them. You can also take a 3-day body class, which is a class that you have to have done the Access Foundation class before, but you can take a 3-day body class. And those classes are so brilliant because you go to the class, You get on the table, you exchange sessions all weekend long for 3 days, and you get off of that table on the last day a different creature with a different body, with more communion and less judgment, and you might have slept through most of the weekend. It's too easy. And the 3-day body classes are just beautiful, like deep, deep peace, deep allowance, deep honoring of the bodies and ourselves, and like this space of communion that we get to have with bodies that is so different. It's so what I would like to see on the planet. I do facilitate those. I have one coming up. I mean, you may be listening to this a long time from now, but I have one in November in Boulder, Colorado, and then I'll be having a lot more in the new year in 2025, all over the world, working on that right now. But I love those body classes because, like, for me, I had like one of the things that changed for me is I had extreme seasonal allergies, very, very severe allergies. I would just be like constantly like, in the spring, just really miserable. And I did so many things. I did all the holistic things. I did acupuncture. I did herbs and homeopathy. I did urine shots. I did really extreme stuff. And none of it really worked. It worked marginally. It helped a little bit. And then I started doing access consciousness. I started doing the verbal clearings. I started doing the body processes, and I took some body classes, and my allergies were just gone. Like, they don't exist anymore. I don't have allergies in the spring. Pretty cool. So, it wasn't even like I was like, I want to get rid of my allergies. They just went away. I did want to get rid of them, but they just were gone. And so, you never know what the body processes create, but they do create so much. There's so much that gets woven through our world, like pulled out of your body that isn't true for you or your body. And then also like these possibilities that open up from those classes that is just so beautiful, and so much peace and so much space and so much generativity, and like the possibility of living beyond this reality, beyond all of the judgments that we think are real about bodies. They must age, they will get sick, like, what if your body could function completely differently than that? What would be possible then? And that's what I'm seeing with my body is I never get sick. Like, my body functions so differently than it used to, and than most other bodies do. And it's because of these tools. SE is another one that I've talked about before, energetic synthesis of structural embodiment. That's also an access consciousness energetic process that is run on the body. You can take it as a class, you can receive it as a session. Same with the body processes. But it starts to just like undo all of these structures that are wound into our bodies and beyond our bodies, how we interact with reality, and how we actually how we live as embodied creatures, really. And undoes and unwinds like all these places where judgment just kind of like hangs out, in our system, in our tissue, in our fascia, in our bodies, in our world, so that we get to have this way greater space of communion. I love SE. It's one of my favorite tools to receive, to go to a class, to give as a session. I love doing SE sessions. And that's another amazing tool. And what I want to say, I just wanted to like throw out some tools. I have like a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's like a body playlist if you want to like really dive into some more of the verbal clearing conversations. But what I wanted to really highlight is the energetic tools in access consciousness that can be and are every day dynamically used by people all over the world to create different realities with bodies. People get out of cancer, people lose weight, people's bodies change, they get stronger, they get happier, they get more vibrant, more alive, they have more communion with their bodies, they start to create more money. For me, my body showed me a different reality with parenting, which then allowed me to have a different reality with business and money. So all these things are related. that is the entrepreneurial biome. That's the interaction, the interplay, the ecosystem of everything coming together to shape our lives. And if there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of holding patterns in the tissue, there's a lot of like judgments in the tissue, then our tissue will behave in such a way, our bodies will behave in such a way that reflects that, and we don't get to have that sense of communion with them. When we unwind it, we undo it, we dissolve it, we take it apart, we choose different things, we clear it. There is this working together with your body that is just incredible. And it's amazing to me how all of these things play together. Like the three things that I've been talking about over the past three podcasts: the viscosity and lubrication of the tissue, the strengthening of our bodies into a new alignment, a new reality, a new possibility, and the elimination of judgment and the choice for a different space of communion with our bodies. And to me, they go together so beautifully. And when I'm like, I just had this thing that because I work with my own body every day. I work on my own body every day. It's just a part of my life now. Not just through movement. I do move my body every day. I do bow spraying every day. I hike or run or something like that as well. But I also do hands-on work with my own body every day. And as I've started to, like, there's all these things that I'm unwinding in my body right now. And I'm using all the tools, and my body is starting to show me some stuff that's been really incredible, that's held in some of the tissue that is like, as I'm trying to get to, like, I'm aware of like adhesed fascia and stuck tissue and places that are causing like pain in certain areas and limitation and like structural, like where my structure is compromised basically. And I can work with the fascia lubricating tools, and I can work with the strengthening and the reorganizing of my skeleton and the like changing things at that level. And then sometimes we get to this moment where it's like, wow, there's something here, and I've gotten to that recently where I'm like, there's something actually here, an energetic pattern that is holding this all in place. So the physical even though everything else that I'm doing is also energetic, but it's more physical. It needs the energetic support of going in and going, what is this? Like, what's going on here? What's being held here? And I'm starting to have all kinds of awareness about like, my birth and in utero stuff and like all this stuff that's like wound through my tissue still, kind of living in my tissue. And it, like, how that plays out in my life. And it's so fascinating to me. And then I can bring in the verbal processing tools and go, and the body processes, like all the energetic stuff, and go, okay, so what is this? And what do I need to look at? And is there something, about my birth or about my early life or that I need to address here that my body is actually showing me? And the thing is that our bodies, they have that consciousness of their own. They have the brilliance of their, that they be, and they show us what is true for them, what they actually are underneath all the layers of judgment and limitation and bound tissue and hardened fascia and all these places where things just get wound in and through our system, physically, energetically, psychologically, and change how our bodies function, but change also how we function in our lives. And as we start to unwind all of that, it's like it's all connected, and it's like the bodies are, I know this about bodies. I know this about bodies, and I trust this deeply about bodies, that they will always show us when given the presence, when we get out of judgment, when we get to the space of being with them and listening and talking to them and asking them questions and listening to them, they will show us exactly what's required, exactly where to go, exactly what to change, what to clear, what to unwind, so that they can have a greater reality, and you can as well. Bodies are full of their own wisdom, their own consciousness, their own truth, their own aliveness, and they move in that direction organically, dynamically, powerfully, we stop that movement with our judgments, with all the ways that we bind our bodies up and bind our lives up. And when you can undo that and unwind it, at all levels, energetically, physically, with the tissue, with our past, with how we are with our bodies, like there's all this unwinding that can occur. It's like just phenomenons of what is possible with embodiment comes to life in such a different way. And that's where we really begin to have a beyond this reality with our bodies that is not where they don't have to age, they don't have to diminish, and we can become true co-creative partners with our bodies in everything, and be creating all of that, including our bodies, as greater every day. And that to me is just one of the funnest things about having a body and being alive. So powerful stuff. I love this stuff. I love geeking out about it. I love working with bodies. I have some things coming up that I've talked about in other episodes, but just a little bit of a reminder. The Fascia Lab, which is more working with the kind of like lubrication of the tissue and bowspring movement. That actually, I believe, started the day before this is going to go live, but that'll be for 6 weeks. And the thing that I'm really excited about, that this particular episode we will be really addressing a lot of this stuff, is the Body Show Me class. I'm doing a 8-week Body Show Me online, kind of small group intensive. It's for 8 people. It'll include some private sessions where we're really going to go into the verbal clearings from access consciousness, the processing, the unwinding, so that can support everything that we're doing with the fascia and the strengthening, creating really comprehensive change in your body. Fascia Lab is included in Body Show Me. And then, as I mentioned before, I have a 3-day body class coming up. So it's like body extravaganza time. I'm so excited. I love bodies. I love working with bodies. I love, I guess, sometimes being the voice of bodies, for what they are truly capable of, and what is true for each unique and individual body. And you get to know that, like, you get to be the expert on your body if you're willing to. And that's one thing that I've always said is, like, I don't see doctors, or go to practitioners or whatever that see themselves as experts on my body. I am the expert on my body, and somebody can contribute to my awareness. They can give me information that I don't have. And those are the people that I will work with. But if somebody sees themselves as an expert on my body over me, they don't get to come near me. Because I believe that we all have the capacity to know our bodies so deeply and intimately in a way that cannot be done from the outside. And I like to support that and contribute to that and empower people to have that as a reality. So whether it's through classes, private sessions, private intensives, 3-day body classes, Body Show Me, whatever it may be, you and your body are so invited and welcome to come and play. And I wonder what is possible to create from here. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week with more. Bye. Thank you for joining me for the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. For more resources, check out my website at heathernichols.com and my social media channels as well. Have a beautiful day, and remember that your business thrives when you do.